Hi there. My name is Lauri Järvilehto. I'm CEO and co-founder of Lightneer. Lightneer is a learning game studio. We started a little more than a year ago with the guys who had previously started a company called Rovio and made the games called Angry Birds. So my co-founders are Niklas Hed, the original founder of Rovio, Lauri Konttori, who founded Rovio's animation studio, and Peter Westerbacka, who was Rovio's Mighty Eagle, who is actually sitting right there. So our dream was to figure out a way to make learning games that are as great games as the best games on the planet. We know that kids play on average 2 hours every day, and we want to take a big chunk of those 2 hours and redirect it to something that's actually good for the kids, aka learning. And to do so, we put together an elite team of game designers, some of the best game designers, mobile game designers on the planet, and partnered with CERN, experts from University of Oxford and Harvard, to bring up the best game designers and the best scientific minds to make an amazing learning game. And we wanted to start with something easy, namely particle physics. So we've created a game about particle physics. It's a kind of as you can see on the picture right there, it's kind of like, the quote-unquote Pokemon for particle physics. So we've made amazing characters that kids all over the planet really love to play with out of the entire periodic table of elements. Now, you might think that it's a tough job to learn, not just the elements, but also how they're composed out of protons and neutrons and quarks and bosons and fermions and so forth. It is, after all, particle physics. But if you think about it this way, like there's 118 elements in the periodic table. I asked my daughter, who's 10, the other day, how many Pokemon she knows by heart. She said 140. So how tough can it be? But to demonstrate to you guys what it looks like when kids are learning particle physics, I'd love to show you a brief video, 45 seconds of playtesting we did in Singapore. In the video, you'll see how the kids think about, these kids are 9 to 14-year-olds, how they think about learning particle physics, and more so what their teachers think about how they learn particle physics by playing a game. So this video is from the Stanford School in Singapore. We shot it about a month and a half ago. We launched the game. We've now launched in Singapore and Hong Kong just this Tuesday. So you'll see what it looks like when 9 to 14-year-olds learn particle physics. Okay, that was interesting. Thank you very much.
Students are super excited about and engaged about science learning.
It's the first time I'm seeing them learning so much in such a short time.
It's amazing. I'm mind blown.
I like all the characters because they're really fun and many ideas. Every time you unlock the character, they tell you the name and they tell you about the strength and stuff.
I just loved how there was just endless levels going and going, because you get so addicted to it and then you're like, oh my god, I want to go to the next level.
So we've done playtesting in about a dozen schools now. In Finland, where we're from, in Slovakia, in Singapore. And we've seen the same thing everywhere we go. Kids love to play the game. They are as engaged as we could see back in the days when they were playing Angry Birds. They love playing the game. And often it happens after they've played the game for half an hour that we ask them, have you learned anything? And they go well, I don't know. It was a fun game, but I didn't really learn anything. So then we start asking them questions. You guys, how many of you know how many quarks you need to make a proton? Raise your hand. Nobody? Every single school we've gone to, 30 minutes in the gameplay, every single kid knows the answer. We ask them to name, 5 atoms of the periodic table. They go beryllium, boron, vanadium, helium, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, straight off the bat. 9 to 14-year-old kids, after having played the game for 30 minutes. We created more learning materials with our advisor, Professor Marcus de Sotoy from the University of Oxford, about fermions and bosons and the standard model of the particle physics, nuclear fusion, and it's all in the game. You can just download the game and start learning by having fun. We're getting crazy metrics in the game. We're getting, like in the best cohorts, we're getting retention day 1 over 50%, day 28 over 20%, which is in gaming, if you know about how you count these things, it's pretty through the roof. And a really interesting metric we have, our engagement. Over the entire user base, after having launched in Singapore, where we, by the way, went to #1 educational games, also in Malaysia and Philippines, in Hong Kong, in Finland, where we've been soft launching for the last couple of months, we're seeing almost 20 minutes daily playtime. That's almost twice the industry standard engagement for a hit game. And that's a learning game we're talking about. So we've actually factually taken 20 minutes out of those 2 hours for this user base and converted into learning particle physics. So our dream is we want to push this out to scale. We want millions of people to learn particle physics by playing this game. Not millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions. It's kind of like, back in the day when Angry Birds had been downloaded 100 million times, and then, do you know what Peter said? It's a good start. And then, I don't know, Peter, how many times has it been downloaded now? Like 4 billion or something like that. So this is the scale we envision. Now we're starting to roll out in the world. We're launching Finland, our home turf, next week, Central Europe in July, UK and US in September, and the rest of the world by the end of the year. And our dream is, what happens when tens of millions, of hundreds of millions of kids start playing a game that they learn particle physics from? That they learn that particle physics is something that you don't have to feel intimidated by. It's something that you can actually be excited by. What happens at this point? And our dream is that 30 years from now, there's going to be some Nobel laureate giving her acceptance speech and starting with saying, 30 years back in the day, I played this game called Big Bang Legends, and that's when I fell in love with quarks, protons, and neutrons. Thank you very much.